Hello and welcome to episode 201 of my podcast all about knitting and crochet and my yarn shop here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Kiko and today is September 25th, 2023. Today I'm wearing the poncho that I knit as part of a competition that Opal did many years ago, and as far as I remember, the only rule was that you had to use Opal yarn, and I think you were supposed to knit a garment. I'm not 100% sure whether that was part of the rules, but I decided to knit a poncho. And after you knit your thing, you had to send it in, and then they, I'm not quite sure whether they displayed all the entries or just the ones that won a prize. And I won place 8 with my poncho, but the funny thing was they had decorated it as a skirt. So I could technically wear it as a skirt, but I meant it to be a poncho, so that's how I wear it. And what I did back then is I used a typical Opal yarn that was very colorful. So it had orange and pink and purple in it. And then I ordered a single color, a solid color, orange, pink and purple, and then I mixed the yarns. So the first part is the colorful yarn with the orange, and then I did the colorful yarn with the pink, and then the colorful yarn with the purple. And because the colorful yarns in all of them, it made this beautiful mix. I thought it was beautiful, and they seem to have liked it too. And then I used a pattern for a tablecloth, for a round tablecloth, and I just omitted the middle and started at a point that I thought looked like a good point to start. And then I used this fairly old tablecloth lace pattern to knit this poncho. And then I did a sort of, is it a picot cast off? Or maybe I crocheted it. Maybe it's a crochet cast off that created these picots. I don't really remember. It's a long time ago, as I said. And because I got place 8, I won the Opal subscription for the first times. Or that's when I got to know it. I didn't even know it existed before. But then I won it for 1 year. So I got 4 parcels with 600-gram balls of yarn. And I just fell in love with the surprise every 3 months and getting yarn that you didn't know what it was going to look like. And I've been ordering the Opal subscription ever since. The first couple of years, I split it with a friend. So we decided to order it together. So we each got 3 balls of yarn. But once I started my shop and she moved away, we didn't get to see each other so much. We decided that I was going to get it for myself, and if she wanted some of it, she could always come and get it and buy it off me. Yeah, so that's the competition poncho. And the top I'm wearing on Ravelry, it's called Carmen Top No. 2. Carmen, I think, was the name of the yarn. It was a yarn that I bought at Wollerödels back when I started working there. It was for sale. I don't really remember much about the yarn. The only things I remember, I bought this color and another color, and then I used the other color to knit this exact top, and I liked it so much that I always wanted to do another one and then never did. And then a few years ago, my sister decided that she really liked the first top that I knit, so I gave that to her, and that was the moment for me to start knitting the second one. So I think I probably made a few changes, like knitting the thing in the round instead of having seams down the sides. And I think in the pattern you probably knit 4 pieces and seam them together. And I'm not quite sure right now whether they're... Well, I think I knit it all in one because I don't like sewing parts together. I don't mind it too much, but I'm not too fond of it either. So I think the second time round I just knit it all in one. But it's knit bottom up. But as I'd already knit it before, I knew what it was going to look like. And I think I changed the the cast off. So maybe I knit a few more rounds than with the first one, or I just cast off a lot tighter. But I think the first version had a wider neckline, which I wasn't too fond of, but my sister likes wide necklines. So I made it a bit tighter with this one. And I think it's just a tiny bit too tight sometimes, but it's not, I mean, it's not really a problem, but I sometimes feel like it's a bit tight. Could have been a little looser. But anyway, I still love it a lot, and if possible, we like wearing them at the same time. So to be in partner look, so we really like doing that. Yeah, so much to what I'm wearing. Then on to finished objects. I have sort of two finished objects. So I have one proper finished object, and that's my knee-high socks or stockings by out of the book Blue Stockings. I keep forgetting what her name is, but anyway, the book is linked underneath the video if you're interested. And yeah, so the name of the book is Blue Stockings, so lots of stockings in the book. And they are all, I think, knit toe up, so that's how I knit these socks. The only change I made from the pattern in the book is that this bit of pattern was supposed to be here underneath the ribbing, but I preferred it to be down there. There's a second version for this pattern in the book where you stop the sock here just after the second pattern bit, and so I wanted the pattern to be here, but I wanted them to be knee-high. And this again is one ball of yarn or one colorway from the subscription yarn from the abo, and I knit this as part of the pattern battle where everybody taking part uses the same color but knits a different pattern. And the funny thing or interesting thing for me is that I actually finished this project before the next parcel arrives, because this is arriving this week. So over on my German channel, I usually do an unboxing video, but I only do it in German because once I've seen the colors, I can't be surprised a second time. So it doesn't really make sense doing it in English. And I could, I guess, translate the video, but I don't think it'd be so interesting, and it would be a lot of work. And I don't know if you can get the Opal Abo outside Germany. So anyway, if you want to see it, you can you can watch the German video. Even if you don't understand what I'm saying, you can see the colors that are in the box, and then at some point one of the colors will be chosen for the pattern battle in the Ravelry group for the Opal Abo. So if you're interested, you can have a look there. So that's the main color. And then for the contrast color for the flowers, I used one of the colorways from the Cats and Dogs series by Opal. And then I just added a little bit of a solid dark green by Opal. Yeah, I'm really happy they're done. And I was hoping that, or I am hoping that it won't get cold enough for me to wear them for quite some time, but we'll see. I'll probably be wearing them in 1 or 2 weeks time. We'll see. Yeah, so that's that. And then the other sort of finished object are my first pair of big banana socks. So I did the little banana socks that I used for the tutorial video, but these are the first proper pair of banana socks. And I used one colorway of the Black Dragon series by Opal. So the Black Dragon colors all have this bit of black yarn that is plied into the colorful yarn, so it makes this really interesting mix. And I knit these socks for my cousin's son, for one of my cousin's son, and the sock blockers that are in there are, I think, there are 3 to 4 sizes bigger than the size that he wears at the moment, 2 to 3. So they should fit him for quite a while. So even if his feet grew bigger than these feet, then that could still slide down, and the socks will still fit him. Yeah, I'm really happy with these. And yep, and I started new ones, but I'll talk about those at the end of the episode. Yeah, then I'll come to my works in progress and I'll continue with the socks. So the oldest pair of socks that I have on the needles, you saw the first one if you watched the video special about my Sock Madness socks of this year. And these are the Squiggley Madness socks that I have changed quite a bit. So I completely omitted the pattern I was supposed to run down here, but I did the squigglies running down the back of the sock and the side of the socks. And I finished the first one, and during the holidays I started the second one, doing the same colors and the same squigglies, and I finished the leg and I finished the heel. Yep, and I finished the gusset decreases. So I'm knitting the foot now, and without having to do anything, the colors are completely reversed from one sock to the other. So it sort of mixes there's a red stripe and a blue stripe, and it just so happened that the blue stripe was almost done when I finished this sock, and there was just I thought there was a tiny bit of blue. No, it went straight into the red. And so there's the red stripe in the second sock where there's a blue stripe in the first sock. And I think that's quite funny. I like that. So the heels are completely different. And now I need to finish the foot, and then I can knit the toe, and then I can knit the second pair for the sock couple to become a couple. That's one of the rainforest colorways, and his socks will be another color from the same series. So these are the one of the pairs of Sock Madness patterns that I'm still knitting, and the other pair are the Instant Crush socks. So the squigglies were not a competition pattern but a bonus pattern, and the Instant Crush pattern was a warm-up pattern for this year's Sock Madness. So I'm knitting these for my sister, and I'm using the alpaca sock yarn by Hansa Farm. It's this wonderfully soft and shows the pattern quite nicely. So I think I'd finished the foot when I last showed it to you, and then I knit the heel, and then the pattern changes for the leg of the sock, but it's not a lot of leg because they're supposed to be shorty socks. Then there's a bit of ribbing, then there's a rolled edge in the main color, and then there's this sort of ruffle lacy bit that's added at the end. And yeah, so my sister's really happy with the colors. She was still thinking that they might be a tiny bit tight, but we'll see how the socks fit once they've been washed and maybe worn a few times. And if she's happy with them, she'll keep them. And if she decides they are too short or too tight, then I will probably get them. Yeah, but this is sock number 1. And I did start sock number 2, but I haven't got very far. So I'm not even sure if I finished the toe. Let me count: 6, 8, 10. Yeah, so I finished the toe. I've increased all the stitches that I need. Now I need to, I think that was the problem, that I was at the point where I have to start the pattern. And because I've changed the number of stitches from what was in the pattern, so I'm in between sizes. I'm in between size 1 and 2, and it would have cost me quite a bit of concentration to remember how I did the first sock to do the same for the second sock, and I was just too lazy to do that. So I'll probably do that sometime this week. So yeah, so that's all the socks for now, because the other socks are part of the knit along, and I'll always do those at the end of the episode. Then, there's another pair of socks that I should be showing you right now, and that's the film reel socks. But I left them at home thinking I had knit on them since the last video, because I didn't take them on holiday, but I forgot that I knit on them before the holidays. So I actually knit the heel and one more film stripe, and can't show it to you. So I'll show it next week. So maybe I'll have done some more, maybe not, we'll see. But I'll show you next week what they look like. Then with the garments, I should be showing the V-back tee, but I actually did not knit on those during the last 3 weeks because I did not take them on holiday, which I was planning to do, but then I forgot one of the colors in the shop and I didn't have it at home, so I decided not to take it, and I will knit on them this week and show them again next week. But I have one new cast on this week, and that's another pullover, or t-shirt rather. So yeah, the V-back tee is supposed to be a t-shirt, but I'm knitting it as a pullover with long sleeves. But this is actually supposed to be a t-shirt, and that's what I'm doing. And I am knitting the Reina de Picas t-shirt or top by Valentina Bogdanova. And it's a pattern that I bought quite some time ago after I saw a friend of mine knitting it, but I couldn't decide on which yarn to use. And then I think last year at a yarn festival, I bought this yarn, which is called Alva Fine Silk by Schachenmeier. And it's 50% wool, 25% silk and 25% cotton. And I thought it's a perfect mix for a light summer pullover or t-shirt. And as it's a solid color, which I don't use very often, or almost solid color, I thought it would show the pattern nicely. And it's a top that you knit top down. And this is what I have so far. I've put a long cable in to show the pattern. So it starts at the neckline and you get this very nice, is it a scalloped edge? I like that very much. And you use a smaller needle for the beginning, so it's a bit tighter. And then you change to a slightly bigger needle. And then also in the pattern, the stitch number increases. So you get this beautiful patterned yoke. Yeah, and I really enjoy knitting that. And I did the whole thing during my holidays. So that was my holiday cast on. And I'm sure I'm going to be wearing this top in some other holidays at some point in the future. Yeah, so the 100 grams have 700 meters, and that's slightly, it's not quite enough. Sounds like not quite enough yarn podcast, right? So it's supposed to be not quite enough, but as I'm a very short person and I usually use less yarn than is called for in the pattern, I decided to do it anyway. And I will probably not do any sleeves at all, but just do a little bit of ribbing after I separated the sleeve stitches off the front and back, and then I can just knit the front and back as long as I have yarn. And if it's a very short top, it's a short top. Should it be too short after all, I might try and buy some more yarn, but I'm pretty confident it should be long enough to be a nice summer top for me. So that's my new cast on for this week, or my holiday cast on. And then we come to the crochet patterns projects, and I am pretty sure that I crocheted on my crochet project with the hand-dyed yarn before I went on holiday. I didn't take it on holiday with me, but I forgot to check whether or not I did. So I'll show it to you now. And I hope you don't remember better than I do what I showed you 3 weeks ago. So this is this really interesting pattern called Grüne. Still don't know how to pronounce it. It's linked underneath to my Ravelry page. There you can have a look at the original pattern and see what it's going to look like when it's finished. I'm using 2 different hand-dyed colors by Wolldackel. I started just using the one color, and now I'm always switching between color 1 and 2. And most of the time I'm doing 2 rows each color, but then every now and then I'm doing 3 rows in the light color, so that I switch which of the 4 pattern rows are crocheted in which color, it's a bit difficult to explain. So I mean to keep doing that every now and then. And right now I'm doing 3 rows in the light color if I want to change up where I use which color. And then later on I'm probably going to do 3 rows in the dark color to mix things up. And then the end I want to just use the second color. Still enjoying this a lot. But as I said, I didn't take it on holiday with me because it's a 2-color project, two ball project, and I was trying not to pack too many things. So that's that. And the other crochet project, where did I put that? Oh dear, I'll be right back. I forgot how to prepare for my videos. That's what a holiday can do. Hope you don't mind too much. But the second project is the pullover that I'm crocheting out of Shelley Husband's book Granny Square Patchwork, and I chose one of her biggest squares to use. I was originally thinking of using that as a front and one more for the back, and then do something else for the sleeves. But right now I'm thinking of just doing one side with this pattern and do either a different square in the same size for the other side or several smaller ones, so to really make use of the patchwork idea in that book. Still haven't made up my mind. I was thinking of looking for a pattern that has half the size of this, but there's no size that's half the size of the biggest size. I don't know if I'm making sense, but yeah, I don't know. I might choose one that's just a bit too small and then just add rounds to it, or I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about it, but haven't made up my mind yet. As you can see, it's now actually a square. When I started, it looked more like a round, and then it looked a bit like an octagon. But then it got squared off and it's now a proper square. I'm on the second 50-gram ball of yarn, and we'll probably need a third one, or at least the start of the third one, to finish this front or back. From the pattern, there are 3 more rounds that I'm supposed to put round, and I think it'll be slightly too small to work as a front or back. I might block it to see what it looks like. Oh no, it's more than 3 rows. I think it's 4 more rounds, and one of them is sort of like a pattern, and then there's just the edge. And I'm thinking of doing the pattern round and maybe 1 more, because that's just single crochets and it sort of finishes the pattern. And after that, I might block it to see how big it is once it's blocked. And then instead of doing the edge straight away, I might just add in a few more rounds, plain rounds, and then do the edge to make it look nice. Yeah, and then I'll have finished the first bit of the pullover, and then I will have to make up my mind on how to do the other part. Yeah, so that's the crochet project that I worked on quite a bit during the holidays and really enjoyed it, and I'm still looking forward to finishing. Oh, and there's another crochet project. I almost forgot that. I forgot to write that down, actually. I have a project that I've been working on for several years now. Haven't checked when I started it, but I am working on a crochet granny square blanket. And the idea came from having quite a few 10-gram minis that nobody wanted to buy, that all had green in them. So I decided just to make some granny squares out of those minis, and then decided to put them together with this bright light green. And this is a perfect travel project, because all you need is a 10-gram mini and a crochet hook, and you have a nice project for the day or for whatever you're doing. And so I keep making them when I'm on holiday, or usually on holiday. I just grab a handful of minis or leftover yarn with green in it. And I already did those in last holidays, and never got around to adding them to the blanket. But in the holidays, just past I crocheted these. So these are new. This was a mini. This was also a mini. And so was this and this. This is leftover yarn. This dark green is the leftover bit that I had left over from the contrast color in my stockings. This, I think, I don't know, some of them are leftover yarn. I think this was the leftover yarn and this was the mini ball of yarn. And this is definitely leftover yarn from the banana socks that I finished. So I finished the banana socks and crocheted a square so that can go in my blanket. And there's one interesting thing about these. They all have 9 rounds and they're all crocheted by me. It's all 4-ply sock yarn by Opal, but I had 2 different crochet hooks with me on holiday. And I think this is the perfect example. So these were 2 minis with the same colors. And as I said, I did exactly the same for both. But this was a plastic crochet hook and this was a metal crochet hook. They were both size 3.5 millimeter, but it's that much of a difference in size. It's amazing. I don't mind the difference because I'm going to crochet them together. So I'm going to add another row to all of the squares and it will even out in the blanket. I don't mind that. But it's also interesting because I crocheted so much tighter with this one. The 10 grams were not only enough to finish the square, but I had some yarn left over. But with this one, because it's so big, because it's so much looser, it wasn't enough. So I think there was about 1.5, I think I got to here with the original 10 grams. And so I helped the 2 yarns together and I finished the square off with the leftover yarn of this square. So I think that's quite hilarious and quite funny. And I'm staying away from the plastic needle for this project now because it doesn't make sense if the squares are too different. So this is the first one that I crocheted with the plastic hook. And again, you can see that this bit, I used different green yarn than the 10 grams. So I'll probably stay with the metal hook because I think that's what I used for most of those squares as well. But if you look closely, you can see that they are not all exactly the same and sometimes things look a bit wonky. But it's a blanket and I don't mind. I'm just going to crochet everything together and then I'm going to wash and block it. And then if it's not perfectly straight, it doesn't matter. I can still keep warm underneath the blanket. Yeah, so that's that. And then we're at the last project and that's the knit along with the banana socks. And when I finished knitting the first pair of banana socks, I was knitting those on the crazy trio needle. I decided to use this yarn to knit this next pair that I knit on the crazy trio needles. So that's what this color looks like. It's again the Black Dragon series, so it has some black running through it everywhere. And I am knitting the same number of stitches as this pair. I think I'm not exactly sure what size she's wearing at the moment, but probably either the same size or a bit bigger than his. So I thought it should be fine with the same number of stitches. And then after I finished the stockings, which I was knitting on a circular needle because I wanted to knit them 2 at a time so that all the increases would be at the same spot and also so that I could use the whole ball of yarn. So I was using the ball of yarn from both ends and then that way I could just knit as high as I had yarn, and then I did the last round and the cast off with the contrast color. So it completely used up the yarn. If you look at the picture on my Ravelry page, on one of the pictures, you can see the bit of yarn that still connects the two stockings, and that was all that I had left from the 100 grams. Yeah, but once I finished the stockings, I used these needles to cast on the next pair of banana socks. So I'm right now knitting 2 pairs of banana socks at the same time. This is another Black Dragon yarn by Opal, and these are going to be one size smaller. So the 2 socks that I'm knitting at the moment are for his cousins. And she's the older one. She has a bit bigger feet. She gets this color, and the little boy will get this color. And yeah, he's the youngest of the 5, so his feet are still a bit smaller. That's why I used 4 stitches less. And this is what I have so far. And again, I'm using the yarn from the inside and the outside. I'm not going to use up the 100 grams. Not for that size, otherwise. If I did the whole ball of yarn, I would probably knit over knee stockings, over knees for him, but I don't think he would appreciate that. So yeah, I'll just see how long I knit those. But yeah, that's everything I knit and crocheted the last 3 weeks. And now yeah, things are probably going back to normal. I'll hopefully remember how I do these videos. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!